Hello, and welcome to episode 11 of Nintendotherapy, a show about the latest Nintendo news and rumors, as well as a celebration of all things Nintendo. I am Kevin, and with me again is Sean Flanagan and Harrison. How are you guys doing?
Hey guys, doing well.
Sean, you there?
Fuse, I say.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we were
That's
having
for
some
later.
technical
Save it.
troubles. You have me worried. So, how you guys doing? What have you been playing?
I'm continuing to lose at Mario Party, so the streak continues.
Which one?
Superstars or whatever the one on the Switch is.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I prefer the other one they put out. I lost track of the titles, but there's two on Switch, and I prefer the other one.
Yeah, I don't like the other one because you have to use Joy-Cons.
Is Superstars the first one or second one? I don't know.
I think it's the
Superstars is the
second
one that's all the old boards and stuff.
It's
Yeah.
all the that's the better one, I think. Oh, I don't
I
know
agree.
anymore. Yeah,
I don't know anymore.
I don't know anymore. I kind of got lost. What's the one where you have to play all together, like you're all in the same car? It's
That's
not Switch.
9.
That's 9.
Yeah, I don't think that one's on Switch.
I'm not a Mario Party historian. Okay.
I also discovered that Mario Party 1 is on N64 Online, but has the box art for 3 for some reason.
No, that it doesn't. See, that's the weird thing about Mario Party 1's box art is they have the dice on a 3, so it looks like it should be Mario Party 3, but that is the box art for 1. 3 doesn't. 3 has different box art entirely. But I always get that confused because it definitely looks like it says Mario Party 3, the way the 3 on the dice is right after the title.
Well, you've cleared that up for me then, because I was like, I'm so confused.
3 is coming, though. It was on that list of Nintendo 64 games they said they would add at some point eventually. Please keep giving us money until we do. I don't remember what else was on there. Pokemon Stadium was on there, I think.
Really
Well, I
excited about
just
that.
renewed my online, so I gave them my money.
I've been playing Metroid Fusion, which I know last week I said I was going to take a break from Metroid, but it's on my mind, and I did what Sean said, where he was like, I'm just doing what I did as a kid, where I'm just playing what I feel like playing, and I felt
Nice.
like playing that, even though Dragon Quest was all downloaded and ready to go. I guess this is how backlogs start.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was about to start Dragon Quest, but I felt like playing Metroid Fusion. So I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm done, though, because like I thought I was going to take a break from Metroid, but apparently that's all I can think about right now. So I don't know if I'm going to do Dread next, because that would be Metroid 5, or if I'll do Prime, because that was, they were
Before.
released on the same day. Yeah. Or I'm also kind of tempted to get that 3DS remake they did of Metroid 2, because that's where the Dread art style came from.
I highly recommend Dread, but
It's in the voucher program, so I might get it with with Tears of the Kingdom.
there you go.
I was going to get Pikmin 3, but since Metroid's on my mind, I might end up getting that.
Metroid Dread's also a pretty short game as well. I mean,
That's why
I know,
I've been burning through these. They all are. Like I think like I play for an hour before I go to bed, and all 4 Metroids so far I finished in like a week.
wow, Kevin, you and me play different before bed games. I like that. That's just me, though. I mean, some people can play anything, but but yeah, I mean, exactly. I think you'll play through all of them pretty quickly. But yeah, Dread was awesome, and Dread for the launch title for the OLED was really cool too. That was a really cool choice.
I used
What
a
I
guide for the second one, and I still couldn't finish in that 3 hour time limit they give you for the quote unquote good ending.
oh
So I
yeah.
don't,
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know how people do that, but yeah, the Metroid 2, you definitely need a guide for. It's one of those old, it's an old Game Boy game back when they were just trying to sell magazines and stuff like that. Like, you need the magazine to know.
So what I like a lot about Dread is it has survival horror elements to it. So I think that's
So
what
does Fusion. I
Fusion
wonder
did.
if they took it from that. Yeah. Well, Fusion, yeah, it's like kind of reminds me of Resident Evil 3 where like the Nemesis monster was always following you. There's this like evil Metroid, I mean evil Samus. That's the Zelda problem, calling Link Zelda, calling Samus Metroid. But yeah, there's an evil Samus that's like stalking you throughout the game, and there are these really creepy moments when it I'll call it an it because it's kind of like a hollowed out shell finds you, and and it'll play like this really creepy music, and you got to like hide from it because you're not strong enough to defeat it until the end of the game.
That's very cool. Yeah, maybe that is where the EVs developed from. Harrison, what have you been playing? Obviously, farm sims and
Yeah, farm sims. In fact, no, actually, none of that this week. I've been pretty. It's been a busy week here. So, outside of Switch, I've been playing some Yakuza, and on Switch, I played some MLB The Show this week because it was the big release week for that. But yeah, it's been kind of a busy week here, and looking ahead, and luckily we have some other big news, that came up this week as well.
I also dipped my toes back in Pokemon, and that is a Nintendo therapy for me because I was starting to notice when I was playing it, I was like, this is exactly what we were talking about when we started Nintendo therapy. Like, it's the music is laid back, everything about it's laid back. I'm not even really doing anything. I'm just kind of because I'm trying to get the full Pokedex. So I'm just like putting like 6 Pokemon in my party, getting them through all of their evolutions, and then putting another 6, putting them through all their evolutions, and just like wash, rinse, repeat, whatever. I just keep leveling up because I want to get that full Pokedex. So I'm just constantly, and I have this weird thing where I don't like to I don't like to catch the different forms of the Pokemon. I raise them all from whatever their lowest evolutionary form is.
you're
So
crazy.
yeah, I make it extra complicated to get that full Pokedex.
And you came up with the worst tagline for a game ever.
What?
Pokemon, rinse, wash, repeat.
But Pokemon, it's the same every time, even when it's gonna be different.
Pokemon, basically doing dishes of video games. That really makes me want to play it.
Pokemon, because I mean, you guys already play games like Animal Crossing where you enjoy, paying a mortgage and other things. So why not? I don't know. I'm out. But so Kevin, you need to get the shiny charm for sure. Or
I have
or
never caught a shiny.
um well,
I can't find them. I've not played like a ton of Pokemon. This game was like me getting back into Pokemon, and they didn't exist in the first gen. But yeah, my whole time playing Violet so far, I haven't seen a single shiny.
yeah. I I got back into Pokemon with Arceus, and then I think the fan made game community is really really cool as well. Like there's some
Yeah.
games that are there's some games that are so in depth in that community.
Well,
Um,
I like when they do the versions where all of the Pokemon are catchable in one version without trading. Have you seen
right,
those? Like they did them for a few of the Game Boy ones. I don't know if it goes beyond that. Probably Game Boy Advance ones as well, but yeah, there's great ones out there where if you are running an emulator where you can't trade Pokemon, you should be using that version of the game.
right. There's a ton of there's tons of different games with different options, and I've seen options where you can complete your Pokédex just on the first like on the first playthrough. Like by the time you reach the end of the game, you have the chance to see every Pokemon at that point.
There's
So
some that have it like completely random where you can like get wrecked by a Mewtwo in the first town
mhm.
at a random encounter.
Yeah. There's randomizers. This is really nerdy. I was playing one recently that they have shiny spots. So you go around and they're just these different spots. They're not marked on the map, and if you step on it, the next encounter is a shiny Pokemon. It
Ooh.
this is really getting getting in the weeds. But yeah,
No, yeah, I checked my stats the other day cuz I'm like I've been playing for I think like 40 hours now in Violet and it keeps track. I checked. I was like, maybe I saw a shiny and didn't even realize it and it said nope, I have encountered 0 shiny Pokemon.
That's a long playtime to have no shinies.
Yeah.
yeah. But to be fair, though,
They be rare.
I mean, in that game, full odds, I only saw 2 shinies before I got the shiny charm. But after I got the shiny charm, I mean, I have screenshots where I encountered two right next to each other, which is just wild.
Well, I finally caught a Ditto the other day, so I can finally start trading like the starter Pokemon and get those that I'm missing because I went with Quaxil, so I don't have the other two. I don't know their names, the little dragon and the cat. Um, so I'm
I
gonna.
I also went with Quaxley. Um, because I didn't look up the evolutions, and once it got to the final evolution, which I know it's supposed to be like Spain and it's like
Yeah,
flamenco, and I was like, oh man, like
yeah,
I was like, it was a cute duck. I don't know, and he had like a little like poof like haircut. I was
yeah.
like,
I looked at a lot of like fan guesses at what the evolutions would be before they were ever officially revealed and there were some really cool ones out there that turned him into like an admiral and stuff like I don't know where they were getting these ideas but a lot of people like turned him into basically a duck version of like Captain Crunch and I really
Admiral
wish that was what we got.
Quaxley.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I mean, this is the first Pokemon generation game where I gave up on the starter really quickly. Mostly because the Gen 9 Pokemon were pretty cool, I thought. I thought these new ones were really nice.
Yeah, this I mean it's my first time back so most of them are new to me but I'm really digging it. It's really relaxing to play.
Yeah, it's like doing the laundry, right? Where
Yeah,
or doing the dishes where it's like you wash it and
you
then
rinse and you repeat.
ah yeah, exactly.
So yeah, we danced around it long enough. Let's get into the two topics we talked about talking about. Um the first one being that the eShop closed this week. The eShop for the Wii U and the 3DS and I just figured we could talk about like any memories we had, any like cool indie games maybe we remembered finding on there, stuff like that. Like I loved when you would move a big file on the Wii U, and I don't know if people remember this, like little Pikmin would
Oh
carry like
yeah.
the cubes of the file over. I feel like the Switch doesn't have as cool a system as the Wii U had. As much as I feel like the Switch is a better system, there were things that just mostly menu based things that I felt were better on the Wii U.
No, I agree. I feel like that's something that they kind of just didn't think about, I guess, because even the themes and stuff just being black and white.
Yeah, and you'd get that roulette thing every time you logged onto the store, which you don't get on the Switch. You remember? You have
Yeah.
to line up the three things. It didn't give you anything, but it was something to do. Um, I remember there was a game that I found on there. I used to do for our old podcast a segment where I talked about like cheap games you could find, and one of them was this game called Mighty Switch Force. I think it was
Oh
called.
yeah,
You
I
remember
had
that
that.
game?
I
That
played
was just
that.
a random. I think it was like a $5 game on there. It was an indie game, and I played the hell out of that thing. Like, and yeah, the Switch has got its indies too, but I'm just remembering my time with the Wii U, and stuff like this always makes me think about video game preservation, because one thing the Wii U and 3DS didn't really do well is you don't have like you don't have like an account that saves your information. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
if your Wii U gets fried now and you have all of these games that you downloaded this week, you're going to lose those games. You can't get them back because it doesn't keep that information on an account. So, even I'm saying, even if the shop was open, I mean, now that the shop's closed, nobody can get them. But if the shop were still open and your system got fried, you had to pay for all those games again.
yeah. I think
Which
the
I think the Switch
Switch.
does now, yeah, because
Yeah,
I did destroy my first Switch, and I was luckily able to get all my games that I had paid for by just logging onto my Nintendo account.
Sure, and that's the reason why. I mean, that's the reason why I like digital games a lot more. Even though in the back of my mind, I know at some point this might happen. To me, I just hope that at that point I won't really care too much, or I'll have multiple systems where I can save those games. Because for me now, it's like, you know me, like I travel now. I'm much more minimal, and I like the fact that um, you know earlier in my life, I had I lost some things before, and luckily when I got those things back, I could you know download some like my games and my apps very easily. I'll say. Uh, so yeah, I think this is just a very weird and memorable time for the eShop to be closing down. I just think that it's going to cause a lot of problems and feuds in the future for Nintendo.
Did you
Because
see they extended their digital codes by a week? So technically it's not completely closed yet until next week, because I guess they turned off the ability to use digital codes early by mistake,
oh,
and a lot of people
oh my
complained.
god.
So to fix the issue, they were like, okay, we'll still take digital codes for another week, but you can't go in and pay with money anymore, I guess.
interesting. Yeah, it's
So
funny that my memories of the Wii U, because 3DS, I didn't play much off the eShop for the 3DS.
yeah, I was still buying physical games then. I do have a few games on my 3DS. One I'm kind of upset that I lost though, because like we said, they don't have a central account where they save this information. You remember I told you I had that 3DS that got all sand in it, or it was a DS, but it got all sand in it and it got ruined in my backpack.
Yeah.
Um, on that, I remember when Legend of Zelda had, I think it was the 25-year anniversary. It was one of them. They gave out a free um Four Swords adventure, which was it was different than all the other ones. It's like the only version of this. And now video game preservation being the topic, that's gone. I can't get that back. And I'm sure maybe could probably find a ROM of it somewhere, but like as far as like actually, paying money for it, it's gone forever. And it was like, I don't know exactly what was different about it, but I remember reading that it was a slightly different version of Four Swords.
I feel like they've done that with a couple of games where they've done like a different edition of it that was only available on one platform.
Yeah, this was free too. It was like a free download for the anniversary, and then it was gone, a temporary thing, but yeah.
Because I know a lot of people miss Mario 35 or whatever they took off a Switch.
Right.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about now. At first I thought you were talking about 3D All-Stars, but yeah, no. 3D
Yeah,
All-Stars you can find anywhere.
I gotta say, they really made you think like, oh, you're never gonna. I see copies of that game at any game store I go to. Um, Yeah, the Wii. I guess the thing I remember the most about the Wii U eShop, and I guess it's like the precursor to the voucher system, is when it wasn't doing too well. If you bought a first party game, you could get a second first party game for free
Wow.
digitally. So that I ended up. I don't remember which one I paid for, but that's how I got Pikmin 3 and Bayonetta 2. Because
You said you
basically,
didn't play Pikmin.
I tried Pikmin 3,
Oh, okay.
but I wasn't good at it. But I can't remember if that might have been the free game. But Wii U was like the rare instance where if it was an exclusive to the system because there was so little releasing on it, I usually would get it and play it. So
I really need to fire up my Wii U because you remember like 2 weeks ago,
yeah,
there was that story about how if you just let it sit, it can get like a system error that like bricks the system and it's not fixable and you're just out of luck. I still haven't fired up my Wii U since hearing that story. I'm kind of afraid. I have a lot of games on there. I have Metroid on there.
I
Yeah, you should. They said the same thing though about the Switch Lite. I don't know if it's the same reason though, and I thought, oh man, because I had a Switch Lite that I hadn't turned on for like 6 months, so I made sure to do the same thing.
Yeah, I think the last time I played my Wii U was a little more than that, but not much. I think I played my Wii U around like November. So we'll see. I know I was playing Super Mario Brothers U at some point. So gonna have to check it.
I think my favorite eShop game I got, which it wasn't exclusive to the eShop, but was when they did the DuckTales remaster.
Oh yeah, I forgot they remastered that.
That was really good. So I remember playing a lot of that.
I'm surprised that's not on Switch. The Switch is the system for remasters. Like every RPG is getting remade for Switch. You just told there's a news story this week about Sean told me that Skies of Arcadia, which came up on this podcast a few weeks ago, is finally getting a remake. And yeah, you got the Chrono Cross one, you've got the Grandia one, all the Dragon Quest games, well the first 3. There's a lot of RPG remakes on Switch.
Going to the eShop too, I feel like the Wii U one was really the one that finally embraced the indie scene. And there
Yeah,
was like more decent indie games on there than anything else.
Golf Story started its development to be a Wii U game because they were very indie friendly. And I think I remember reading a story a little while back about like last week a game got released for the Wii U that this indie developer had been working on forever. Um and it like didn't get finished until the eShop was like closing.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anything about game development. I don't know how easy it is for him to just move it over to Switch, but I think that's what you got to do, buddy.
As far as indie games, I think the one that I played the most, but I didn't like it. I probably just bought it because it was cheap. Ubisoft was doing a lot of indie games, so they had a game called Cloudberry Kingdom. It was like a procedurally generated 2D platformer that was really frustrating, but for some reason I played a lot of it.
Huh. Well, you play what you want to play, you know?
No.
So yeah. Wii U eShop gone but not forgotten. But probably will be forgotten eventually. Anyone else have any Wii U stuff? Okay, so we had a technical issue there, so I'm just going to say that in case this audio doesn't line up perfectly. But we were talking about Pokemon. Think we got it out of our systems and or into our system to play our Nintendo Switch. Hey. And yeah, so now we're going to transition flawlessly into the biggest news item to talk about this week, which is that there was finally some gameplay footage of Tears of the Kingdom. And I know you both got to see it, right?
Oh
Oh
yes.
yeah. Oh
So
yes.
they showed off 3 new abilities. One that was like a rewind. I forget specifically what it was called, where I guess you're going to use that to rewind stuff that falls from the sky to get back up to the sky. I'm sure it'll have
Re-
other functions as well.
recall.
Recall, that's what it was.
Total
Fuse.
Recall.
Exactly. Total recall.
Fuse, which I'm curious. So Fuse is where you can combine things. It's exactly what it sounds like. So they showed it merging things to weapons to make new weapons. You can merge 2 weapons together or make like a really long weapon. You can merge all kinds of like, that's what the nuts and bolts vehicle he was driving in the trailer was they fused all those things together and made a vehicle out of it. They made a fan raft. So that's Fuse. The thing I'm most curious about with Fuse is I wonder how long that stuff's going to stick around, like stay in the system memory. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
you're definitely not going to be
Yeah.
like re-exploring an area and seeing stuff you fused, 20 hours ago. I don't think. So that'll be interesting.
Well, I'm not sure if we can drop things that we fused. So yeah, I'm not too sure, but maybe it's going to be like every red moon. And
Well, I
and
mean, like more the vehicles, like they had them flying in that like skycopter
uh,
thing and stuff.
oh
Like,
oh
I wonder if
right.
they'll hang around.
So I believe the vehicles are is the ultra hand ability. I believe. I think
Okay,
so.
but yeah, but he like fused a fan onto a door. I think it was. I don't even remember what it was, but like to make the flying machine.
R- Right. So maybe it'll be like every red moon, and then I saw like
That's probably it.
when they showed like the different stables with some very strange smoke coming out of some of these. I don't know where that's coming from, but I saw that they have a lot of building materials outside these stables. So I wonder if we can use those or buy them or what that's going to be. Um,
And the last ability they showed was Ascend, which is hopefully used for the exploring I'm looking for. That, like I said, I felt Breath of the Wild was kind of lacking in. This lets you basically go through the ceiling as long as there's another part of the game reasonably close to that ceiling up top. So, but they traveled pretty far through a mountain in the video. It was more
Yeah.
than I thought they were going to let it do. Like I thought it was just going to be like going through a wall, but he went through like a whole mountain to get to the top.
Well, I think that's going to have to do. It's going to have to do with stamina. My prediction.
Probably. You're right.
Yeah. My prediction. The same way. Like we can't. Like you can only climb so much in the beginning of Breath of the Wild. So
I
I think
just
that's
hope it addresses what my biggest problem with Breath of the Wild was. And it's not the breaking of weapons that everyone hates on. I don't even care about that. It was the rain mechanic. And hopefully this helps get around some of that, because the worst thing was getting halfway up something and having to camp out and just wait for the rain to end because you're too high up to give up.
Yep.
but you can't climb any further because it's raining. That was so bad. And I know later in the game you get abilities that kind of help you with that, like the
suit.
wind, yeah, or the climbing stuff. Um, but when you're towards the beginning, man, that's so annoying because you already don't have enough stamina to spare.
It's it's so annoying, and like when I see people on like Instagram or Twitter that's like, "Oh, isn't it so relaxing when it's raining in a video game?" I'm like, "No, it's not." I'm like that's not Breath of the Wild at all. Like Animal Crossing, absolutely. Breath of the Wild,
Yeah,
no, absolutely not.
I got
It's real.
places to be, and now I
It's
can't be
re-
there.
it's really really stressful. So I think it looks like there's going to be 4 abilities similar to how we had 4 Sheikah Slate abilities in Breath of the Wild. So we have
Yep.
Recall, Fuse, Ultra Hand, and Ascend. And did you see where the Ultra Hand, what that's in reference to?
No, what was it?
Ultra Hand was a grabbing toy made by Nintendo in the 1960s.
Oh, okay.
And you can imagine it like you press it and you can it extends out and you can grab with it. So it's
Like
an
the claw
homage.
hands. Yeah, I
It's an
get you.
homage or in reference to the Ultra Hand Nintendo toy, which I think is really really cool.
I
Um,
love when they reference that stuff. I found out recently that in Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins, the Game Boy game, there's like a Lego level, and apparently those aren't Legos. It was a Lego ripoff toy that Nintendo made, and that's what they're referencing in that level.
I never knew
Hmm.
that. That's really cool.
Yep.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Um,
Which makes sense because, the Nintendo can't just use Lego.
What I found exciting from what they showed is that you can make different types of arrows, so maybe you don't have to find every type of arrow this time.
Yeah, because those blob things got so useless after a while, and now at least the fire and electric and ice seem like they're going to make easy arrow combinations. Who
so
knows what
so
else?
Sean, how about the meat arrows? You see that?
I'm
That's what
very excited to try out the meat arrows, actually.
I'm
I'm going to make an
I'm
egg
s-
arrow.
I'm surprised, but knowing the internet, not so surprised how quickly that blew up. Like as soon as that video came out, everyone's like, "What's the steak arrow? What happens? What happens if you hit them with the meat?"
I'll bet you can lure enemies away with it. That's
um,
my first thought.
It's probably how you kill Ganon in this game.
Like in Link's Awakening, how the end boss can be killed with one shot of the boomerang. Because I don't know why it's like that, but like that would be cool if there was like a secret like that.
So
you
you
know,
you guys would know this more than me because I didn't spend as much time in Breath of the Wild. So for me, Tears of the Kingdom's gonna be like a whole new map to me. But you guys who have explored Breath of the Wild's Hyrule, like, does this seem like they've changed it up enough for you?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I like the sky stuff. I kind of like that most of the landmarks are gonna still be around though, because that was always my complaint with the Zelda timeline, is it didn't make any sense with how much stuff moved around. Uh Hyrule Castle and the Lost Woods and the Temple of Time and the Death Mountain are pretty like easy to triangulate as far as landmarks go. And like every time people link games in the Zelda timeline, it's always like, well, doesn't make sense being here if this is here. Like the maps don't make sense. And I know to make new games you got to make new maps, but I like a sequel using the same map here because it'll feel more like a continuation that way.
So speaking of the map, I have to bring up my favorite part of the video was when that construct took that fused weapon of the door and and he
Oh yeah.
tries hitting Link and then he demonstrates the free fall after. Oh my god. Like that was
Yeah, there's
so
no
cool.
falling damage apparently in this game.
So funny and like so yeah, so funny and so cool to show off that mechanic. And to me, like I saw on the mini map, I saw that they now have coordinates on the mini map, and
Oh yeah.
they also show your altitude as well in it. And I'm actually surprised how much of the map they showed off, assuming they didn't take anything out of there. But I'm wondering, like, didn't see like lots of shrines. I know that there's going to be some caves, some dungeons, some caves that we already saw. So I'm really excited because to me this is going to be like the Hyrule that I just enjoy spending time in and just messing around in. But there's clearly some other stuff going on that we don't know about, and I think it's going to feel massive if, like, from what we just saw, from the sky down to below. I think it's going to be a massive game.
There's heavy potential for sure for this to be a Nintendotherapy type game where you just it almost reminds me of Minecraft, where from what they showed off, it looks like you can, play this game for 3 hours and do nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So those are always very therapeutic type of games. Like you could just spend hours playing with these new mechanics instead of going to any shrines or caves or anything. So that looks cool. I
Speaking
will
of
say
games,
the reuse of the map though. Sorry, you have something to say?
yeah, no, the map, yeah. What's up?
I was just going to say, I think that is the only thing keeping me from being like crazy hyped for the game is how much. I don't want to say it looks like the same game or it looks like, as far as some crazy people on the internet that say like, oh, it just looks like DLC. I'm not going that far. But I will say I do pretty much know what to expect when I start playing. And I think that's hurting the hype I have for the game a little bit and that's not bad. You don't have to have hype for a game to enjoy a game.
Right.
But I do think that's like, I see a lot of people saying like, oh, for some reason I don't feel as hyped as I did for Breath of the Wild. And I think that's it. I think it's like, well, you didn't know anything about Breath of the Wild except what you saw in the trailers, and you didn't know what it was going to be like to play. And this, you kind of know what it's going to be like to play, even though you don't know exactly what it's going to be like to play.
And Kevin, also, the answer is they're getting older. They're becoming they're becoming adults. They're becoming older people. Like
Their
when you
brains have less dopamine.
like when you become older, some things become less exciting to you.
Yeah,
And yes,
that's
it is a sequel to a game, but that's just me being cynical. I think, but Kevin, this leads me into I have the big question that I wrote down, and I need you or Sean's help because I'm not as much of a historian about this. Um, we
Shoot.
saw we saw the recall mechanic, of course, and that deals with time. This game's about time traveling, isn't it? This game is
Well,
this game a
there's got to be
prequel?
something that explains why all these like pieces of machinery are suddenly like readily available, and why. Yeah, I think there is going to at least be a time jump. Um, I think. I mean, I don't want to go too far. Skip ahead a few seconds if you don't want spoilers, but I think the leaks did show some sort of like, didn't they have like some character in two different like ages or something like that in one of the leaks?
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
know.
I did. Yeah. I didn't see that, but I mean, I
I
had
think that I
seen.
can't remember which one. It wasn't Link, but there was like a character in the artwork that leaked that was like young them and older them. And people were like, oh, there's got to be some time travel somewhere.
I don't,
But it could be a flashback, it could be something like that.
yeah, it could be. I just think with the way this world looks, and we're seeing time manipulation at least in this game. I just wonder, like at the end of Breath of the Wild, when they're on their horses, like are they on their way to find a way to make sure the calamity doesn't even happen? So
Well, because
like
that kind of ties in with what my biggest question when I walked away from that footage is the thing I wondered was I was like, okay, I know how to play the game a little, but I'm like, but I know we're gonna go up to these sky islands, Sky Rule, and I'm like,
Skyrule.
but I don't know why. And and they haven't given us like, why is this happening? Why? So why would I want to go up there? You know what I mean? Like, can I play the whole game on the ground? Why do I want to go up there?
Because the air up there is so much better.
Yeah, and you can fall, you can fly and
I'm gonna
everything.
just keep doing that, and that's like the first thing you do in a Spider-Man game is
Oh
go
yeah,
climb the Empire State Building and then just face plant into the ground.
yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely. Like,
to answer your question, Harrison, my answer is I hope it's about time travel. I can't say for certain now, obviously, but I hope it is because time travel stories are almost always cool.
because I feel like there's a lot of depth to this story that we're not getting yet. To where like this is not just a DLC type game. I think this is, and very much like we're
Well,
getting.
look how long the development period is. You know, something took them this long.
Well, there's an interesting thing I wanted to. Did you see that? Did you see the video beat 'em ups put out that he got the new Zelda OLED? I can't believe
No,
this guy. Yes, yeah. So Woodhawker mysteriously, after all his Nintendo controversy, somehow got the new Zelda OLED and released the video right after the direct yesterday. And the only like real interesting part is that when he opened it, the the last update on the system was from June of 2022, which means that like these systems could have possibly like been done and ready and held off for like
interesting.
for like almost a year or over a
Wow.
year. So there's a good possibility like this game was planned to release like sometime last year, and
Well, it
then they just.
was. Remember,
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure it had a big delay, and now I'm trying to think. Wasn't it announced for 2022 and then pushed back like 6 months or something like that, Sean?
Oh, yeah, yeah, it could have been, but yeah, I mean
It got pushed back, but I mean, you look at what they showed, and somebody said, I mean, the fuse mechanic alone, the amount of like programming you would have to do for that has to be insane.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how creative they let us get.
yeah, I
I
was
want to make a
wondering.
transformer.
You I was wondering about some of these mechanics, like especially the recall mechanic. I wonder if Nintendo took ideas from like different speedrunners or different,
Oh,
uh,
maybe.
like
Oh, that was a note I had. Thanks
be,
for
be,
reminding
be,
me.
because for example, like when I first saw the game trailer, I was thinking about how like one of the easiest things you can do is like you can stasis the boulder, you can hit it a bunch of times and then jump on it, and that's
Yeah.
one way that you can that you can
Well, the
get
one I
across.
was thinking of was I'm sure you saw this. There's a lot of videos out there of people taking those mine carts and like driving around Hyrule with them by
Yep,
using like stasis and a few other things.
yep,
And that was my first thought. And I wrote it down here, and I'm glad you reminded me. Yeah,
yeah,
I was like, I'll bet they took that from the people riding the mine carts around, as they were like, oh, people want to ride vehicles around Hyrule. Let's give them some vehicles.
yeah.
And I don't know. I think part of the magic of that was the fact that you weren't supposed to do it, but I'm sure theirs will be just as fun.
Right, but I just wonder how many ideas sometimes they take from people that's like, okay, like here's what people enjoy, here's the mechanics that we weren't really planning on. Because even like the hovercraft and the flying cars, like because like there's that glitch where you can take a guardian and you can put him on a raft and you can fly it
Yeah.
around. It's so cool. You can fly it around Hyrule. I don't know how people figure that out. It's really fun to do. Um,
I
but
can't do any of those things. I've seen the
but
videos. They're really cool, but I can't do them.
yeah, and I can do like a lot of these more like common ones, and I'm hoping that they keep some of these fun mechanics like I don't know if we're gonna have wind bombs in this new game, but oh, I really hope that we do. because I just want to
You got to
win
craft it.
bomb. Yeah, I just want to win bomb like off like the Sky Island. I think it's going to be awesome. Oh, and we get rails as well. I saw that we have rails in
Oh
the
yeah.
game,
Yep.
which is going to be awesome. Hey, you brought up Minecraft. Have either of you guys played Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts?
I have not.
No,
Because
I've only played the first two Banjos on the Nintendo 64. I never played Nuts and Bolts, and I didn't play the remake they did.
yeah, so I know Nuts and Bolts was developed by the same people that did the Nintendo games, but I was watching some videos last night because people were bringing it up because that's a game where you also construct cars and then drive them around.
Ah,
So that was
I
the
really sort
comparison.
of the same subject. I really want to get a what are those things called? It's a Nintendo 64 cartridge that you can put EverDrive. You can put a micro SD card into it and basically load it up with whatever games you want. And anyway, I want to get one of those because somebody I just found out the other day made like a fan made Banjo Kazooie game. And apparently it's really good. It's like, they used all the assets and stuff of Banjo Kazooie and made their own sequel.
Oh, cool.
That's really cool.
So if I can get an EverDrive, you can load it onto there and it'll play on your Nintendo 64.
So
I also
since you
want to
can,
do like they have those. Sorry, Sean, but
yeah,
one last thing about the EverDrive that it's good for is they also do a lot of like fan made Ocarina of Time stuff, and like a lot of times you can get like the randomizer Ocarina of Time and stuff like that. So gotta get
cool.
on that. There's like a fan made sequel to Ocarina. There's a bunch of fan made sequels to Ocarina of Time. So maybe I'll
So
just stop playing real games. And
yeah, just
I'll
play
go
all
down a rabbit hole. Yeah.
play all the
There's
fake
tons of fan
games.
made games. There's tons.
The only problem with the fan made games is you don't have like any like shared experiences with anyone. It's not like I
Yeah.
could talk to you guys about like, hey, wasn't it cool when you get to do this in the game? Like, unless you played it too.
There's Reddit for that. Like I
Yeah.
played I played Pokemon Unbound, and there's a huge online community for that game because it's just a massive fan made game.
Well, I'm super into Metroid like right now, like I said, and I keep seeing this thing called Another Metroid 2 remake, which is apparently like an amazing remake of Metroid 2 that Nintendo like officially like took down, but you can find places.
It's got to be good if they took it down.
I watched a web
Very
series where they like reviewed all the Metroids and they included it in that series, so
Wow.
it was important enough for that.
So since they're getting into crafting more with Tears of the Kingdom, you think they're gonna extend that to armor?
Well, there's definitely going to be new armor. What do you mean? Like you're going to craft your own?
Yeah, like being able to like improve less good armor by putting stuff on it.
That would be cool. I don't know.
I think so. I saw that the fuse ability, like there was an option of like you hold down L and then you can fuse either like your weapon or your shield. But I also saw like these like constructs who I don't think are enemies necessarily, but these
Oh yeah.
constructs, they drop different loot, which is going to be used to, I think, craft something. So that was another thing I wrote down. I think we're going to see different kinds of armor and maybe something replacing like the Hatino lab from Breath of the Wild, where you can upgrade your armor as well.
Yeah, I need a lab. I'm going to use that fusion for some mad science.
Oh, I'm gonna definitely see how much stuff I can put together.
I'm going to fuse a fish to a pig.
Oh boy.
That rake attached to a spear was hilarious. Like
Yes.
I was like he's gonna get stuck in the tree using that thing. I was like, how big of a stick can we make in this game? Like it's gonna be lots of fun to see the depth of it, because that's potentially like
Now you got an arms race going.
yeah. Yeah.
That's the entire plot. Is Ganon's trying to make the longest spear ever?
Yeah, I think the depth of this game is going to be great, and like I'm not a speed runner, but I'm looking forward to the speed running community figuring out the million different mechanics over these next few
Oh
years.
yeah.
They're
Because
gonna find a way to use that ascend ability all over the place, for sure.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So, um, yeah. Honestly, when this 12-minute video ended, I felt like we saw a lot, but even for me, I was like, "Oh, come on!" Like, I was like, show us a bit more, you know. So, I feel like we're in a really good spot right now with they said it's done. They said it's going to be released, and I feel like we know quite a lot now.
I'm
What
gonna
I
have to stay off my
found.
phone that whole day that it launches because I won't be able to play it till I get out of work.
Oh
And
yeah,
like
yeah.
people are gonna be posting videos all day long.
That's gonna be a rough day. But watching the video, like I was like, wow, all you really did was show new game mechanics and kind of how the world is set up differently, but the way they did it was so engaging, and I'm like, I don't know, that's something I don't feel like every developer is able to do. Like usually it's like, here's a demo, okay, I'm gonna go over here and do this, I'm gonna do that, whatever. So I don't know, they had a little more fun with it, so it was more engaging. So it's like, oh, I made a giant pitchfork, and you're just thinking, it's like, I wonder how like big you could make that. Or I made a raft. It's like, well, how big a raft can you, like, you're thinking about the stuff as they're doing it. And I don't know, I really enjoyed the presentation of it.
I made a pigeon rat.
Oh god.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed it too, and I thought there was a few times where they gave us like just a little bit or just a little taste, like when they put the raft out into the water and he hits the middle and it becomes a hovercraft. They show it for like 2 seconds, and I was like, oh, and then that's all we see from that. Um,
When he
so
put that in there, I was like, ooh, there's like a waterfall that way. I wonder if you can launch it off of the top
mhm.
down to the bottom.
Like I said, it's gonna be a game where you play for 3 hours and you're like, now did I accomplish anything?
Nope.
Am I any closer to the end? Nope.
And the new construct thing's really interesting. I didn't know that that's a race that was mentioned in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, those people are going nuts over that, but like I honestly think they overanalyze more than the people who make the games. Like people are thinking like you're gonna meet that tribe or something. I don't think that's gonna happen.
but but the constructs like they're not are they enemies because or are they like soldiers? But it seems like some of the constructs that he would just like walk by and they seem friendly, and then the sky islands they would attack him, but I wonder if that means they are just like defending those lands, you know.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the constructs are actually enemies, but I do agree that people overanalyze. I agree with that 100%.
So you combine that with the first chunk before we had our huge tech problem, and I
It's like
think
an
we can
episode,
move on.
guys.
I think we can move on to our spotlight here on NES Pro Wrestling. Came out October 13th, 1986 in Japan, the same country that made Tears of the Kingdom. Coincidence?
I think not.
Um, Came out in March of 87 here. Oh, we got it first. No, second. Okay. I can't do math. Anyway, two interesting notes I found about pro wrestling for the NES, available now on the Switch Online service. Computer Gaming World named it as one of the best sports games of 1988 for Nintendo, stating it offered realistic graphics,
Yes.
non-stop action, and realistic wrestling moves. It concluded that pro wrestling was, quote, The only wrestling game that really understands what it is simulating.
I
And
would
then
agree with that for the time. Yeah.
I thought it was funny, just the realistic graphics part made me laugh. And then this other thing that made me laugh was Game Informer named
Oh
it the
man.
79th best game ever made. 79th best game ever made in 2001, which to me says more about how far gaming has come since 2001 than it
Yeah.
says about this game.
So so Kevin, I actually had that list right here because it's really funny.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so pro wrestling was number 79. Okay, so I'll go one above that, 78, Panzer Dragoon. Good choice.
Yeah.
Number 80, The Sims.
This is
Wow.
better than The
pro
Sims.
wrestling pro wrestling is between Panzer Dragoon and The Sims. But this list of
Those
2001
realistic
is
graphics.
is just hilarious. Like just to spitball some names below pro wrestling, Kid Icarus, the original Tomb Raider, Super Bomberman, Mario's Picross, the original Fantasy Star, Tetris Attack, Mortal Kombat 2,
Half of
StarCraft.
those would not be on a list like this today. You're not going to see
Well,
Mario's Picross on a modern best games ever list.
No.
well, well, I would say on this list, I would say, well, it's really really out of order, but I would say their top 19 on this list is pretty solid. I think it's horribly out of order, but I think it's a
What's their
pretty
number
solid.
one?
You want to guess,
Super, I'm going to guess Super Mario Brothers.
Sean?
I'm going to say Ocarina of Time.
Legend of Zelda. Um,
Oh,
Legend of
okay.
All
Zelda,
right.
Super Mario Brothers was number 2. Ocarina of Time, number 11. Oh my
Hmm.
god.
All right.
So as I said, like this list is quite out of order, but it's yeah, I mean it goes up to 2001, so there's a lot of like these like late 90s games or
Mm-hmm.
some of these like late 90s 2000s like sports games that were like really modern at that time, but now like no one would play something like that. So
Well, I have to say, it sounded like before we recorded the episode today, you guys kind of found a groove in this game. I've never been into pro wrestling, and I've never been able to figure out a pro wrestling video game. So this is a miss for me. It's just, I'm not going to say it's a bad game. I'm going to say it's not for me. Like, I could not figure it out.
I played it way more than I expected to.
I mean, its reputation says it's a good game. I believe you guys probably had a great time with it, but pro wrestling's just never like clicked with me. And every time I play a pro wrestling game, I like expect it to be like a Street Fighter or like a Mortal Kombat, and I never get that. It's always like there's like grappling mechanics, and then um, I didn't look up the controls. I just kind of button mashed, and
That's fair.
I did a couple of things. Like I slammed the guy down, and I threw him around at one point, and I kicked him. But for the most part, he just beat me up.
Okay.
Um, you said that I had a good time. I did not have a good time playing this game.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I was
this is
wrong.
actually this is not one of the NES games I grew up playing, but I did grow up playing Tecmo Wrestling for NES. I think that came out in 1990, and I think that game. I mean, for me, I think that game is a lot more fun, and I it was a lot more easy for me to play or pick up as well. But it's interesting to see the progress between like a game that came out in 1986, which seemed like really advanced for its time, and then 1990, pretty similar to like what we see with like Super Mario Brothers and then Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like I mean I was a huge fan of wrestling. I played a lot of wrestling games. This is since I always played Tecmo Wrestling. This one I just kind of skipped over. Um But I was trying to figure out the wrestlers that were referenced in this game, and there's some debate online about it.
Who's
Like,
the fish man?
um, the the Fishman.
Yeah.
Oh, the Amazon.
Oh, the Amazon. No, the Amazon. I don't know if that is in reference to any wrestler. That's the one I didn't write down.
Okay.
I know
Because
he apparently was the inspiration for Blanca.
I was about to say every fighting game needs a Blanca, so that's funny.
yeah, and that's the one that had, I think, every move set or had the most move sets. So yeah, that's one I didn't write down, but I think King Slender is Ric Flair.
That makes
Um,
sense.
I think Giant Panther is definitely Hulk Hogan, but some some people online said Kerry Von Erich. Um, Tiger Mask or a Great Puma was Tiger Mask. How you say it? Hayabusa is Inoki, Antonio Inoki. Starman is Mil Mascaris, and King Corn Karn is Killer Khan. There's too many K's. Never mind. Too many K's. So there's like three wrestlers in here that are referenced that I know about.
Yeah. Um.
We've officially talked about this game longer than I was able to play it.
So Kin Corn Karn was the guy I was good with. So by the time I stopped playing, my record was like 18-4. So I didn't do the 10 title defenses to get to the end boss.
Wow.
Quitter.
Wow. Wow. I was 4-1.
I
I
don't
was
know. I really had a lot of fun with it, and I don't know. It just clicked for me.
Yeah, I don't think
yeah.
you're I think I'm the weird one here, man. It's like I said, it was on all these lists of like amazing games. I just like I couldn't figure it out. And that's why I'll say it right now. I'm ranking it last in my ranking. Cuz the so far this is the first game that we've done here that I couldn't even figure out how to play. All the
Okay.
others I could at least figure out how to play. This one it just wasn't clicking for me, and I'm being a little, I'm exaggerating a little bit. Like I did play it for like an hour and a half. If you add like, I played like half an hour, then yeah, about an hour and a half. And I couldn't get past the first fight, and I didn't want to I didn't want to look it up online. Like I was like, I'm gonna figure these controls out, and I never did.
That's fair.
Yeah. I found like some of the mechanics. I wish like I could have changed some of the mapping on it, because like to run, like you have to press like the directional pad twice, I think.
Yep.
And to me, like like it's crazy like how many different combinations we had back then. It's like you had to be very ambidextrous back then, because you're so used to like hitting buttons multiple times, not the
I loved when
directional.
games would make the select button a button because they were so like, there were only two buttons on there, so you got to get creative.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I figured out all the mechanics on my own. I wish the grappling was different, because it seems like the grappling was like you kind of like walk into each other, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then I lost my first two matches because I couldn't figure out how to get back into the ring. Um, it
I
took me
did
to my
that
third.
once. Yep.
My third time, I figured I guess you have to walk to the front of the ring and then go back in. So I don't know. Um,
This game needed more Bonesaw McGraw.
Yeah, it's very lacking in Macho Man reference.
Where are
No,
you
I
where are you gonna put it, Sean?
you're both gonna think I'm nuts.
All right.
hmm.
So I put it fourth overall, so just above Kung Fu Heroes.
That's not crazy. Again, the reputation on this game is that that's about right.
I don't know. I had fun with it, and like I said, I didn't get to the end fight, which is apparently one of the hardest end bosses in an NES game. So maybe at some
Can't be
point I'll
harder
get
than
there.
Mike Tyson.
I don't think it's quite that difficult, but
But okay, so your top 4 now are Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, Kirby Adventure, and Pro Wrestling, then Kung Fu Heroes if you want to make it a top 5.
yep.
This is in my bottom 5, which are Ice Climber, Donkey Kong Jr., Kung Fu Heroes, Spanky's Quest, and Pro Wrestling at the bottom. Spanky's Quest I didn't like, but at least I figured out how to play it after a while. I figured out how the bubble worked.
Which is funny because I would say that game was a little harder to figure out, but to
Okay.
each their own. So.
Well, they're both at the bottom. I mean, it's not like I'm saying one is so much better. Harrison, how about you? Right now you've got Mario Brothers 3, Yoshi's Island, and Donkey Kong Jr.
Right, and that's my order. So this is my 4th right
Okay.
here. So it would be Mario Brothers 3, then Yoshi's Island, then Donkey Kong Jr., then Pro Wrestling. I mean, for me, it's like we have like 3 like mainline games and then this. So, but I would say I would just add on though that if you have the online service, I would say that so far there are 3 must play games, and then Pro Wrestling is like a game that it's very easy to try out or just put on. So I'd say if you're kind of a fan or you're thinking about it, I would say try it out.
Yeah, I was disappointed I didn't get to try the multiplayer.
Yeah.
Well, I think it has online play supported if you want to get on that. Like you can do that through the Switch Online service. Did you know that?
But I can only do that with my friends, and I don't think
Oh, I
any
see.
of them wanna. I don't know. Maybe I can trick the niece or nephew into trying it, but probably not. So,
Okay, so this is just a week of technical problems. So
I'd
I
say,
have a confession.
yeah.
I noticed this week that I took my laptop upstairs and I compared the randomizer list and I went individually to all the games on the Switch Online service. And I don't know what happened, but there were a bunch missing from the list. So maybe we won't get an NES game this time because we were missing a bunch of games. Like it wasn't a complete list we were randomizing. And now I'm opening the randomizer and it's still that old list. So that's the technical problem I was referring to. All right, I've got the new list now. Everything is in here except for what we've played. I've made sure of it. So
okay,
we were missing a lot of Sega Genesis games for some reason.
that's what I'm kind of hoping for is a Sega game.
Well, Wheel of Morality, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn. And the game we're playing is it's an NES game, but at least the list is up to date now.
Oh, no sound. Okay.
We're playing NES Baseball.
Okay,
Ooh.
It's
Okay.
just
Nice.
baseball. That's, you know what? I love that about the NES sports games when it's just called baseball, golf, soccer. Like as
Nice
if there
and
was never going to
straightforward.
be another game.
It's the
Yeah.
only baseball game ever.
Well, I think RBI was the first MLB licensed game. So I think there was MLB games on NES, but at first it was just baseball, countries or colors. I think it was.
I'm gonna go home and play a baseball. Outside? No.
um, hey guys, speaking of since we did the wrestling games today, and did you guys see that new Lego Drive or Lego 2K
Yes.
Drive that came out?
Yeah,
Oh
that looks
man.
pretty cool.
It's not
Oh,
out yet, right?
No,
no,
not yet.
Okay.
it comes out like 3 days after Tears of the Kingdom. Like
Okay.
literally. Like, it's going to be funny because I think people are going to be distracted when this game actually comes out. But it looks
Yeah,
really
as the punk said to April O'Neil, bad timing.
yeah, it looks really really cool, but it's a 2K game and I could not be more negative about this game
Well, it
as
only
is.
needs to sell about 60 million units to compete with Mario Kart. So,
It's a no, Kevin. It's a 2K game, and it needs to sell like 5 units, and those people need to buy like $50 million of in-app purchases. That's what the game is going to be like. But that's just
all the colored Legos cost extra. You can only have white cars.
yeah. Because they announced there's going to be a season pass. They announced there's going to be real currency that can be used in the game, and they're releasing 3 different versions. The top one being $120. Uh, so I think it's going to be a very a very 2K like game where there's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of other purchases along with it.
Here's my random thought about Lego that has nothing to do with that game. It has to do with money and Lego, though. A lot of people I see complain all the time about how expensive Lego is. And I just want to say I figured something out when I worked at Target. I got bored and I did the math one day. Because you know how it says on the sets how many pieces they are?
Yeah.
They are fairly consistent that if you do the math, it's not always perfect, but it's always a ballpark about this. If you do the math, Lego sets are usually priced 10 cents per piece. So the fact that people are always complaining about how expensive it is, I thought it was interesting that they seem to have a formula for determining the price of those sets. Sometimes it's 11 cents, sometimes it's 9 cents, sometimes it's 12 cents, but it's always in the ballpark of about 10 cents per Lego in that box. So I learned you something that's kind of true today.
Well, I'm glad you took the time to figure that out for everyone.
weren't they always expensive?
Yeah,
Like,
I feel like they've always been at that price point. I think, like, I don't know, Lego people, email me if you think the price of Lego has gone up over the years, or have they just always been expensive?
yeah,
And again, I only did this on the ones that were available in Target, so maybe those crazy, like, expensive ones, the equation doesn't work. Like maybe they have a ton of pieces. I don't know, but yeah, I did it on all the Lego sets that were in the aisle, and they all came out to be about 10 cents a Lego. So
yeah.
they
I
probably
mean,
figured out it cost them 2 cents to make a Lego, and let's make a profit.
yeah. You should see over where I live. Like there are so many knockoff Lego brands. It's crazy. Like I see it. I feel like I see a different uh, Chinese brand or something like every other day, and
Do you
they look
remember
the
Better
same.
Blocks?
Yes,
No.
yes, but
They were
but
not
but
better.
but some of these sets that I see, I mean, I wouldn't know, but they look nice. I mean, and they are way cheaper than the actual brand. So, but the the laws on that are different over here as far as what you can and can't sell. So, so yeah, there's that. I mean, we're not Lego experts over here. We're just Lego fans.
Yeah, so exactly. So if you have any Lego information you'd like to let us know, please get in contact with us at Nintendotherapy on Twitter. Nintendotherapypod@gmail.com is our email. It's not my email. I'm not giving you mine. And then what else? Oh, we got the Instagram. We should get an Instagram. I could post all kinds of Nintendo stuff. But yeah, we got the Reddit thread. So look for us there. Thank you for listening. Leave us a review because we're a new show. We don't have a huge listener base yet. And I always hear on podcasts people being like, they say to ask for a review. I don't really know what it does to help. I'm supposed to ask for it. I'll tell you what it does. Okay. It helps people find the podcast because the algorithm that shows you new podcasts, one of the biggest factors in it is if people have left recent reviews. So if it's 5 years from now and you're listening to this episode because you just discovered us, we still need a new review. So always leave reviews for your podcasts because recent reviews help the algorithm when people are searching for podcasts will pop up. Because I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of video game podcasts out there. We need all the help we can get. So yeah, that's what that does. And it also, not even algorithm stuff, but just people's personalities. There are people out there who won't listen to a podcast unless it has a decent amount of reviews because they're like, oh, this is just some guy in his garage. I'm not going to listen to this. It's got no reviews. So
Hate those guys.
Joke's on you. I don't have a garage.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't want those listeners anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a garage. I'm not in it right now though. All right. So we'll see you all next week. Here's a game over sound effect from something.